Okay, so this one's about the nature of domination and control. Now, I wasn't going to do another podcast this quickly after the last one, but it's been bubbling away, this one as well, for quite a while, and I just feel like I'm ready to share my perspective on it because of the last episode I've just done, which was about the nature of becoming. And this one is not directly, but indirectly linked to the nature of becoming. But, my intention with this one is to help you understand and realize the benefit of domination and control from a certain perspective, and just to validate it. Because all of us express this part of our nature from time to time, and rightly so. But as a collective, we tend to look at domination and control and, we kind of shun it. We look down upon it. We complain about it. We stand up against it, and rightly so as well. But I just want to illuminate all of the perspectives from my perspective. And the first thing is to validate the expression of domination and control. So when the nature arises within a human being to express this part of our nature, the reason it arises is because we are feeling like we don't have any power or any influence or control over our circumstances, over our lives, over anything really. And it's mainly for, when people are feel like their life has got them trapped and they can't get out of it. And it's that feeling where no matter what happens or comes your way, someone may want something from you. You may get a text on your phone. It's an email. Something in your environment is seeking your energy. It's needing you. And that needy nature of the people around you it triggers you, because it's another thing that is seeking to take your energy away from you. And that's literally what's happening, is you feel like your energy is being taken from you, but what's actually happening is you're making a conscious choice to give your energy to these things. But it doesn't seem like that, so it doesn't really matter. But I would say being a parent is probably the most extreme version of this, especially being a mother. Because so many mothers I know are in this, they're on this treadmill. They've made a conscious choice to have a child, or maybe they haven't made a conscious choice to have a child. And they sacrifice all of their own needs willingly so that the child can become and realize its greatest potential. Beginning with, of course, protecting the child, nurturing it, making sure it's safe, and raising it in a way that it can realize its greatest potential, eventually become self-reliant, and so on and so on. But so much has to be given in order to create a new life. So much physical energy, mental energy, emotional. But I want to talk about your power. So when you're, a typical human being is living their life And it seems like they have 24 hours in a day. And every minute of that day is being consumed, utilized in one way or another. That's how it seems. But in reality, in truth, what's happening is we're making a choice about what we imbue our presence into. Because our presence is really, that's where power comes from. What we choose to focus on is being imbued with light. And I've spoken about, the lens of perspective being determining what actually appreciates in our life, but nonetheless, what we decide to focus on, what we decide to give our attention is what is appreciating. So if you're a mother, you're appreciating your child like crazy. You're appreciating your child, you're appreciating the household, probably appreciating your husband. And I don't mean like being grateful for him. You're probably appreciating him in terms of he's occupying a lot of your mental space, a lot of your emotional space, meaning your unconscious attention. And therefore, that stuff is appreciating as well. And so you've got all these things that are pulling you away from what you really want to be doing, how you really want to be expressing yourself, what you really want to be imbuing your presence into so that it appreciates for you. And, you've likely got this perspective that no one understands your pain. No one can see your suffering. And you're probably desperately waiting for someone to see it and understand it and save you from it and do something about it for you. But unfortunately, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen from this perspective. Because before any of that shifts, you have to first understand and realize that you are making a conscious choice to focus on the things that you're focusing on. It's just that you don't want to accept the consequences of choosing to do what you really want to do. And of course, because it means the child would suffer, potentially come into harm. It means that it could create disharmony and discord within the home. And that's an added thing you have to deal with, whilst you're already trying to do everything and juggle everything. So this isn't criticism at all. It's just understanding the fundamental nature of the reasons why everything is the way it is because of the choices that you're making on what to focus on what to give your presence. But your presence isn't your time, by the way. This is totally unrelated to time, because you can spend your time being totally, you can spend your time being with someone physically, but give them none of your presence. That's really, really important to understand. If you're playing with your child, but you're looking at your phone, that's you're not giving them anything. You're not appreciating them in any way, shape, or form. You're just, they're not appreciating because of your presence, because your focus, your attention isn't with them. In that situation, the thing that's appreciating is whatever you're focusing on that's on your phone. So that's the first thing to really understand. And that may change things. That may help you to see that, what you think you're spending your time, what you think you're investing your presence into appreciating is likely, you may be assuming that it's wherever your physical body is, but it's not. It's where your attention is. That's what you're giving yourself to. And, the other challenge with this mindset, and it's a really tough one, because the other challenge with this mindset is you may find that you're spending a lot of your time fantasizing about change. And when the issue with focusing on change is that what it's appreciating is the experience of wanting change, and that change never comes. So, in fact, focusing on change is a one-way ticket to stagnation, because the desire for change is actually resistance to the present reality. Whereas if you've listened to some of my other podcasts, I speak about the nature of becoming, and that nothing actually ever changes. It's always just becoming more. And the metaphor I use is, actually, I can't remember if I've used this one or not, but let's say you're building a boat out of Lego. You decide to build the hull out of black bricks. You decide to build the deck out of red bricks, and you decide to build the mast and the sail out of white bricks. So you play with your boat, your Lego boat, and if for those of you that don't know what Lego is, I'm sure you will. They're the little building blocks that kids use to build, cars and houses and boats. And so you got a big tub of blocks, all different colors, all different shapes and sizes. And so you've got your boat, it's got a black hull, and you decide that you want to have a red hull. And so you want the boat. It seems like you want to change the color of the hull to red. Of course, I want to change the color of the boat hull to red. But the nature of what is actually happening in this scenario, where you've got a Lego boat, you've built the hull out of bricks, out of red bricks. Sorry, I can't even remember what color I did the hull. I think it was black, wasn't it? So black bricks. Now, if you went to the hull and tried to change one of those black bricks into a red brick, what would happen? You would just be sitting there staring at a black brick in the hull, waiting for it to turn red. And this is the fundamental thing to understand about change, is that the fundamental essence of something, its fundamental nature, cannot be changed. It does not change. And I know this goes against the grain, because in science we're saying everything is, nothing's static, everything's in a state of flux. And that's true when you look at everything as one thing. If you zoom out and you look at it, what you see is everything is becoming more. It's becoming more. And even, I won't go into the details of this yet, but even the state of decay, something decaying, it seems like it's becoming less. It's actually still becoming more. So it's really important to understand this, because the desire for change, the desire to change something, is the same as looking at your boat with the black bricks in the hull and wanting them to be red instead. But the only way to have a boat with a red hull is to recreate the hull with red bricks, you see. So recreation is the focus. It comes from a perspective of understanding that you have created everything in your reality right now. Everything in your environment is the realization of the collective meaning you have imbued into your perception of your life. And so you've already created everything that you're experiencing now. All of the things you're imbuing your presence into are all the things that have appreciated into and become what they are now. You see, so this is everything in your experience now is of your creation. And so to want it to be different is to reject what you have already created. And again, the analogy is to just stare at the black bricks in the hole, wanting them to be red. So what we do in this scenario is we take the black bricks that are making up the hole now, we take them off and we put them back into the bucket, into the source of where those bricks came from. And just leaving a little breadcrumb there. And once we've done that, what do? We then create a new hole. Start with one red brick, then two, then three, then four. And then, different shapes and sizes, shaping the form, allowing it to become more and unfold. And if I put this brick here, it means that I can then put that brick there. I'll put this brick here, and then out of nowhere, you're like, oh, I want to put a yellow one here. And so you put a yellow one there. So it's a total state of allowing the new hole to be recreated. So this one shift in perception alone, from focusing on change to focusing on recreation, it'll create a massive shift in your perspective. And you should be able to see an outward signs of this in your environment pretty quickly. Anyway, I've spoken about this at length in other podcasts, so I don't want to go into it deeply, but I just wanted to make sure it was imbued because it is important in the context of this topic. So recreation, the intention is to recreate and rather than change. So from the perspective of someone who is feeling like everything is asking them to give more and more of themselves, let's now look at a scenario where you've got children, you're a mother, you're giving all of yourself to the children. You have no clue what you actually want for your life and what would bring you a sense of fulfillment, because you feel guilty even thinking about it. Oh man, it's full on. It makes no sense to me how we've evolved it to be like this as a society, but this is where we're at. You've got no more to give. There's nothing left to give. Your partner doesn't seem like they don't understand. They can't figure out what you want. They can't relate to it. And here's the thing: is their experience of it is that they are busy receiving what you're choosing to give them, and that's their authentic experience of it. Because they've got no recollection of asking you to do all those things. And a large part of your assumption that you believe it's expected of you is not coming from them either. Because, I know from my perspective and from the perspective of men, many of my friends who are men as well, is all they really want is for you to be fulfilled and happy and, but it's like an itch they can never scratch. And, how many of us have seen that dynamic of, the male in the house, shall I do this? Do you want a cup of coffee? Or shall I this? Or should I just trying to, go fishing for the fulfillment of a desire, because masculine energy is all about the fulfillment of desires. And so we want that desire to be felt and known and understood so desperately. But when it's unspoken and when it's withheld, and it can never, it's always just a guessing game, because we do not understand your pain. We can't feel it. It hasn't been shared with us. We don't know what it is that the other person really wants. And so we just guess, and, no one's ever really fulfilled at the end of it. So, because it's always missing the mark. Because, and here's the thing, what you're really seeking is to be appreciated. Is to be appreciated. And as lovely as that would be to receive that from your partner, it's not possible for them to mirror that to you whilst you're busy appreciating everyone and everything but yourself. You're just appreciating your kids, your family, how clean your house is, maintaining the image of being society's version of a good mother, which God knows how that's even possible. It's just, let's just be honest. It is not possible. It is not possible. The expectation that mothers place on themselves and that they feel that pressure to be, it is not possible. And any mother that is actively maintaining that without help, I would say that that's probably it. No, actually, I don't want to judge there, but you get you get the drift. But you cannot have the people around you, your environment, mirror to you appreciation when you're giving none of your own presence to yourself, to what you want, to understanding yourself, to understanding your own nature, to uncovering the truth of the deepest desires within you, to become more for yourself. Universe cannot mirror it to you. Can't use your husband as a conduit, and can't use your children as a conduit, because that's not what you're putting into yourself. And so the desire to be appreciated by the people around us, it's born out of a lack of appreciating ourselves, meaning focusing, giving our own presence to ourselves, to what we want. So I wanted to preface this domination and control with, just to share my perspective that I get this. I know how hard it is. That you feel like you have no power to influence, change anything. You're trapped in a lot of ways. And here's the thing. When you feel like your entire life is not yours, then the only way to escape that feeling of not being powerful, of feeling like you've got no power or control over your life, the only way to negate it or to soothe it is a good way to express it, is through the expression of control and domination. How else are you meant to just give yourself a break from the constant, burn of feeling powerless and having no control over your own life? You can't just endure it 24/7. Something has to give. And domination and control is the solution to that problem. When you can dominate someone and control them, it gives you a feeling and a sense of that power that you don't have, and the control that you don't have over your own life is being exerted upon someone else's. And of course, children are the ideal scapegoat. That understand this isn't judgment. This is nature. This is your nature. How else are you going to deal with it? You can't. You can't. This is the thing. I'm validating it. I'm validating it. And I'm even going to validate it when it comes to the way we govern ourselves, the way we approach crime and justice and restitution. It's actually punishment. And that's my next point I want to make is, if you're in this state where it feels like everyone is taking your energy, you have to control the child. You have to be able to modify its behavior to suit your will, to suit your timelines, to suit, to fit your schedule. And if they don't, it becomes a major inconvenience. And so what choice do you have but to dominate and control them and to get them to do what you want them to do? And if they misbehave, you got to punish them, right? There has to be consequences for them not following your will. You see, what you want them to do. And so whilst I'm being compassionate, I am revealing the deeper truth here. And that is that the children in society today, they cannot thrive in that environment where they're being punished for following their own nature. And so I'm exposing that, but by the same token, I'm saying it is not possible for any human being to provide an environment for a child that can enable them to explore their curiosity and follow their nature, so they can realize their uniqueness and their gifts. There is no way that, between two people, let alone one, two parents, that they can create an environment for a child to thrive in that way. Because the ultimate truth is that we all have to take responsibility for this. If we want our generations of kids to be able to become self-reliant people who can nurture themselves and take care of themselves and create a life for themselves, following their own nature, turning their passion into viable sources of income, into autonomous businesses that can look after themselves and their families. We have to demonstrate it through how we live our life. The only way you can raise the child that you actually really want to raise is to demonstrate to them how to become that yourself. It's not only the fact that it's the only way that it can be achieved. It's the best way for it to be achieved. It's to demonstrate to your children how they can become self-reliant, how they can learn to give to themselves, to appreciate themselves. And of course, that's good. It seems like a paradox, but it's actually not. Self-reliance is not about doing everything yourself. That's independence. That means you're doing everything alone. Self-reliance means that you are capable of accessing everything you need in order to thrive. And that whatever you are depending upon, if that falls away and becomes obsolete, then you will still continue to evolve, you'll adapt, and you'll continue to thrive. Rather than if that thing becomes obsolete, then you become obsolete with it. So trying to get your child to do what you say, and when they want to explore why, and this is their nature to seek understanding, by the way. When your kid goes through that why phase, why? They don't want to be told. They want to understand. It's even built into our nature as human beings to explore, to unearth, to understand the nature of our environment. Stop saying why. Why? So here we have the juxtaposition. Here we have society that's saying, this is a typical family. Mother, father, 2 kids. Both mother and father are into their careers. Mother gets pregnant, sacrifices her career, becomes a full-time mother. And in this day and age, it's more, it's a good thing if, as a mother, that you spend as much time with that child as possible. And, I see all these things. And meanwhile, your needs are just biffed out the window. Your ability to create the life you want for yourself, it's just like, no, I'm just going to sacrifice everything for this child now. It's all about the child. And the resentment. I mean, cue resentment. There's no other way. That there's nothing else that could be happening. Because, I mean, the experience of it is like the people that you love most are just taking from you. And you've sacrificed everything. And of course, you'll never say these things because it's expected, remember? I mean, like, I'm really going there because we have to unearth all of these different aspects. We can't just go, oh, you just need to ask more help. Then you can't go, oh, the schools need to change and you have to get to the kernel, or the essence of the nature of why these things unfold, and understand that they're perfectly valid. That the responsibility comes with this as well. Because as a society, the way that we approach, the reality is that the governance that we have in our society is a mirror of how we parent. Domination, control, and the approach to crime and crime with punishment, rather than restitution, rather than understanding and restitution. What better way is there to help a child understand the impact of their choices and to imbue them with the power to resolve those consequences and create restitution in the way that their nature lends itself to, in the way that their nature wants to arise and express itself. How powerful is it for a child to understand their influence on their environment, how that affects other people around them, how they can make decisions that impact the people around them, and so that impact can be felt by them in beneficial ways. They can see that by enabling the entire family to thrive, that the entire family is becoming more, that the relationship with their mother is becoming more. Everything's becoming more. These subtle little shifts that have a profound impact, but it has to begin with the parents demonstrating to the children how they are thriving themselves. And so here we have this issue of all of this pressure to be the perfect parents, the perfect mother, and the reality of how much help and support is needed. And it would have to be one of the most difficult things ever to be able to ask for help. The guilt of admitting that not that you can't do it on your own, but that you don't want to. That's the hardest bit. Is that you don't want to do it all yourself. It all begins there. It all begins there. And, if anyone, I would be absolutely flummoxed if anyone out there suggested this to their partner and their partner rejected it or tried to shame them or guilt them for it. If it were me and my partner came out and revealed that vulnerability and said, listen, I need help. I can't do this on my own. How can we resolve this? How can we create a better situation? I mean, as a man who really appreciates expressing my masculine energy, I would just be all over that. I mean, I would create ways to support you that were way beyond what you could imagine, way beyond what you would have given yourself permission to put in place. But the fact that I know that vulnerability is there because I've felt it, it's been revealed, it's been seen. I mean, just watch me go. There'll be interviews for nannies that afternoon. I would have spoken to all of the families and started arranging, scenarios for the kids to get picked up and dropped off and all these little things. Now, this is hypothetical, of course, and it's easy for me to say because I'm actually not a parent. But I understand the nature of masculine energy. And it's, once you start seeing all these things happening, you'll think to yourself, why didn't he just do that before? It's because we cannot see the issue. We don't understand it. We think that you want to do it yourself. We think that, and this is the extra challenging thing is to suggest it, to suggest that you need help is an incredibly belittling energy. You see, that there's just it cannot be unearthed without the vulnerability being revealed. But the moment it is, just watch it. Just watch it. It'll fade away. It might start off with, how can I get one night out with my mates a week? How can it, my girl mates I'm talking about. I'm talking about typical husband and wife here, so don't get offended by, my assumptions and generalizations about gender and all the rest of it. Because it's, when I talk about husband and wife and men and women, I'm really talking about masculine and feminine. So, it may start with one night a week. How can I begin with one night a week, a night out with my friends, or the entire house to myself with my friends over, or just the whole entire house to myself for the whole night, or one entire weekend a month entirely to yourself. That's not an unreasonable ask, and that's an incredible gift to give yourself. And and obviously allowing your partner that as well. But, it'll be different strokes for different folks. But there's so many opportunities that can be unearthed here, and especially to unlock masculine energy, to be able to, and to enable that masculine energy to really express itself, and for it to be appreciated in terms of being part of the solution. And so, I mean, myself personally, I can see massive opportunities for, let's say there was a community of, kids all around the same age, wanted to be homeschooled kind of thing. You could create pools of parents who are doing group homeschooling, each parent taking a turn. The dynamics and everything would obviously have to line up, but there are ways we can be much better at sharing the load, but also creating more interdependencies with the child, enabling the child to establish more bonded connections with a diverse group of adults, as well as kids, all these different adults influencing these children in different ways. And obviously it creates community as well. So, and again, these are just my brief ideas from someone who actually has no experience as a parent, but who understands the fundamental nature driving these things. And so what I really want to say is that this is natural. The way that most people parent is totally natural. There's no other way you could cope, that you could do with it. But the key that unlocks the whole thing begins with the truth being revealed about the ultimate desire. And then, from there, it'll just flow, beginning to give yourself permission for different things, and the masculine energy being appreciated as well, because whether you realize it or not, masculine energy always needs to be invited in. Feminine energy is always waiting for it to initiate. But desire activates masculine energy. Masculine energy carries forward the desire. So, if I'm being anal about it, it's the meaning of that evokes it. So if, let's say, a scenario of, I'd love to be able to go, you're saying to your husband, hey, I'd love to be able to have one night a week, have the whole house to myself, get my friends over, have drinks, have a hangover, whatever it may be. That would mean that I'm able to let my hair down. I can totally let go of, all the responsibility that I'm carrying all the time. It would mean that, I'd have a better state of mind and da-da-da-da. And once that masculine energy understands what it would mean to you to be able to have that night, the response will be in relation to that meaning. It'll be an exact response to the meaning, rather than just saying I want a night off. That won't activate the true masculine energy, the masculine energy that you want to feel. The meaning is how you truly activate it, and that requires intimacy. So these things aren't easy always, but there's real opportunity there. And so the last part of this is I do want to go into domination and control. So all of us use it. We all use it. And mainly it's when we're feeling powerless, we're feeling like the whole universe is taking our energy from us. Just to recap, the ultimate truth is that we're only ever giving our power away through our choices. Nothing is actually capable of taking it from us unless we've given it the authority to do that. And, the dictatorships that we have in the world are a reflection of the way we parent. Even democracy is a mirror of the way that we parent. Total authority is with the government, and the approach to the behavior of the people, being like the children, it's pure punishment. It's pure punishment. And the reason why, because you can't give the responsibility for governing, let's just take New Zealand alone. I mean, 4.5 million, maybe more than that now, people in New Zealand. And you give full responsibility for all of those people. Because understand, when you shift power, responsibility goes with it. There's no way around it. If you're imbuing something with your power, the responsibility because your power is your choice. When you give something your power, you're imbuing it with the power to make a decision on your behalf. Whether the authority you're imbuing with your power is the Driver Licensing Bureau or the government, it's to make decisions on your behalf. So you can't escape the fact that responsibility is going with that. And we give that responsibility to a handful of politicians and a prime minister for the governance of 4.5 million people who are entirely different, have way different needs, have different versions of what thriving is, don't understand each other's situation, don't understand why everyone is the way they are, don't understand each other's perspectives, and there's a centralized decision-making process for all of those people. Now, that is entirely unnatural. There's nothing natural about that in any way, shape, or form. And even, if you even look at your body, as an example, all of the cells in your body, all the trillions of them, they're all sovereign. They're all self-reliant. Every cell in your body is self-reliant and totally empowered. I call that sovereign. Is when that your power, your authority resides within your body rather than externally outside of it. It may seem that you govern your body. It's not the case. Every cell is following its own nature and is free to do so. And, there's nothing, it's it's a crazy responsibility to give to a small handful of people. And then we actually point the finger and blame them because they're not pleasing all 4.5 million people. I mean, come on. When I see things on Facebook where people are blaming the Prime Minister for something or like pulling the Prime Minister up on something, and I just think to myself, man, that's a seriously crazy expectation. That's a seriously crazy expectation. The only way to ensure that every cell of the body, talking about all of New Zealand, is nourished, is to create the space for it to be able to nourish itself. And, my perspective and my view is that the way we will evolve as a society is we will become a society that imbues spokespeople instead of decision makers. So people who we imbue with the authority to express our voice, carry our voice forward, but not actually make decisions on our behalf. And, it'll take some evolution. And I think, it's like anything. There are parts of the system that work really, really well, extraordinarily well. But there are parts of it that just need revamping. And it's like the boat with the black hull. We might, with the form of governance that we have, we might just want to replace that black hull with a red hull. But you don't point to a member of parliament and tell them that they should change. You replace that person with a person who is of the nature that you want to be seen in that government. So, domination and control. So what's interesting with domination and control is that people who are imbued with a lot of authority and power, they have the opposite issue. That sense of responsibility that comes with all of that power is so huge that they often cultivate the desire to be dominated and controlled. So, it swings both ways. The person that feels powerless is dreaming of being powerful. The person who's powerful, too powerful for their own liking, dreams of feeling powerless. So, all I would say is be careful what you wish for, because you're always going to get it, but not always in the way that you think, because it's the meaning. It's your interpretation of your environment that is activating your body and your body's alchemy. And what you receive may not be what you really want. And the only solution it will always be this way, is vulnerability. And vulnerability meaning not to share with someone that you want something, but to interpret what is to share with them your interpretation of what it means to be able to experience that thing, to be able to have it. That's what moves mountains. I really want one night a week to myself with my friends. It would mean that. I really want to figure out a way to, create a carpool for the children. Currently I'm doing it myself and I'm running them around all the time like a taxi. If we could resolve this one thing, it would mean that. It's what it means. It's everything. It's everything. And if you're not used to this way of being, just try it, because if you're not used to it, it will radically, I don't like to use the word change, because it's not change. Transformation. It will radically transform your environment for the better. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about with domination and control. I just wanted to illuminate it, bring some understanding to the nature of it and why it is the way it is. And just to create the space for certain people who are feeling the pressure of being a perfect parent, just to bring some understanding to that. And, if you're not in the space to give yourself permission to do these things, not that I have the authority to give you the permission, but my hope is that you'll see this podcast as all the permission you'll ever need. And Yeah, let's see what happens. Okay, that's it for now. This one has been the nature of domination and control. Talk soon.